the root of January 6th. And thank you for standing up for the Constitution and for the rule of law. Of course, not all public officials behaved in the honorable way our witnesses did. At the close of today's hearing, we will see video testimony by 3 members of Donald Trump's White House staff. They will identify certain of the members of Congress who contacted the White House after January 6th to seek presidential pardons for their conduct. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
By the grace of God, by his own endurance.
Without objection, the chair recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Kinzinger, for an opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here. I'd like to start with a personal story. So in May of 2009, I returned from service in Iraq, and I announced my intention to run for Congress. A big reason I decided to run for Congress was my motivation to ensure freedom and democracy were defended overseas. I remember making a commitment out loud a few times and in my heart repeatedly, even to today, that if we are going to ask Americans to be willing to die in service to our country, we as leaders must at least be willing to sacrifice our political careers when integrity and our oath requires it. After all, losing a job is nothing compared to losing your life. Within the halls of power, in the face of a president, that commitment can easily be forgotten. Presidential pressure can be really hard to resist. Today we'll focus on a few officials who stood firm against President Trump's political pressure campaign. When the president tried to misuse the department and install a loyalist at its helm, these brave officials refused and threatened to resign. They were willing to sacrifice their careers for the good of our country. The Department of Justice is unique in the executive branch. The president oversees the Department of Justice, yet the president's personal or partisan interests must not shape or dictate the department's actions. The president cannot and must not use the department to serve his own personal interests, and he must not use its people to do his political bidding, especially when what he wants them to do is to subvert democracy. The president cannot pervert justice nor the law to maintain his power. Justice must, both in fact and law, be blind. That is critical to our whole system of self-governance. During this hearing, you'll hear time and time again about the president's request to investigate claims of widespread fraud. Our witnesses, Mr. Rosen, Mr. Donahue, and Mr. Engel, stood firm in the face of overbearing political pressure because they understood that their oath was to the Constitution and not to the personal or political interests of the president. The president and his allies became keenly aware that with legal challenges exhausted and electoral votes certified, their only hope would be a last-ditch scheme to prevent Congress from certifying the win, thus throwing the entire system into constitutional chaos. The president wanted the department to sow doubt in the legitimacy of the election, to empower his followers and members of Congress to take action. If the department could just lend its credibility to the conspiracies, people would have the justification they needed to spread the big lie. So President Trump ultimately wanted the Department of Justice to say the election was, quote, corrupt and, quote, leave the rest to me and the Republican congressmen. As you will hear today, the department's top leadership refused. Not surprisingly, President Trump didn't take no for an answer. He didn't accept it from Attorney General Barr, and he wouldn't accept it from Mr. Rosen either. So he looked for another Attorney General, his third in 2 weeks. He needed to find someone who was willing to ignore the facts. That is not the norm.
Thank you, Director Kelly, and thank you.
Let's look at what attorneys general, Democrats and Republicans alike, have said about upholding their oath to the Constitution.
Trooper Chapman-Green and his
Attorney General ultimately owes his loyalty to the integrity of the American people and to the fidelity to the Constitution and the legitimate laws of the country. That's what he's ultimately required to do.
I will be an independent Attorney General. I will be the people's lawyer. If, however, there were an issue that I thought were that significant that would compromise my ability to serve as Attorney General in the way that I have described, that as the people's lawyer, I would not hesitate to resign.
That is a Class X felony,
the President
subject to
proposed
20
to
to 80
undertake
years in the Department of
a
Corrections
course of conduct that
with
was
a
in violation of the
25-year
Constitution
to
that
life
would present me with
firearm enhancement
a
because it is alleged
difficult but not a
that the
complex
defendant
problem.
personally
I would have
discharged
two
a handgun
choices. I
during
could
the
either try
course
to talk him
of
out
this
of it
incident.
or leave. Those are the
If
choices.
convicted, he is
The
facing
Attorney
a potential
General's
sentence of
position
between
as a
45
cabinet
years
member is perhaps
to life
unique
behind
from
bars.
all of the cabinet members. Yes, a member of the President's
two
cabinet,
alleges
but the Attorney General has a
attempted
unique
first-degree
responsibility
murder
to
of a peace
provide
officer,
independent and objective
which
advice
also
to the
carries
President
a
or any agency
mandatorily
when it
consecutive
is sought, and
sentence
sometimes
if convicted
perhaps
of both
even when it
counts
is
1
not
and
sought.
2. Of 20
Everyone
to 80 years
in
the
that
Department
video,
of
from Eric
Corrections with
Holder
a
to Jeff
15-year
Sessions, spoke
firearm
as one
enhancement.
about the
So if
independence of the
convicted
department.
of count 2,
It's a
the
point of
defendant
pride at
faces
justice to apply the
potential
law without the
penalties
president's
of
political
between
self-interest
35 to
tainting its
95
actions or
years in
dictating
prison, in
how it
addition
uses its authorities.
to any
But
sentence
President
following
Trump did
conviction
find one
on count
candidate
1.
at justice who seemed willing to do
Count 3
anything to
alleges
help him stay in
aggravated
power.
battery with a firearm.
Let's hear
to a
what
peace
President
officer,
Trump's
a
own lawyer,
Class X
Eric Hirschman, had to say
felony
about Jeff Clark's
carrying
plan to
between
overturn
50
the election.
15
I'd like to
to
advise
60
viewers
years
this
in
video
the Department of
contains some
Corrections.
strong language.
Count 4 alleges aggravated
Before
battery.
ClickUp, we
to
were kind of a
peace
mess.
officer
We
other
had
than
so
by
many
use of a
different
firearm.
systems that we
And
were
count
using
5
to communicate and
alleges
share
the offense
knowledge
of
that
aggravated
you
unlawful
kind of
use
had
of a
to
weapon.
code switch every time you were talking to somebody
Those charges
different.
were filed
We have
on
distributed
October
teams
26th,
all
and
across
we
the
likewise
world.
on the
There's
same
clear
day
time
filed
difference there,
a
and I
petition
think ClickUp really
to
helps
deny the
manage
defendant
all that
pretrial
information
release
regardless
pending
of
his
time.
trial.
We can communicate
The hearing was held,
asynchronously,
and
so we are
the
able
court
to
made
be
the requisite
very
findings
productive
to grant our
using ClickUp.
petition to hold the defendant in custody pending his trial. His next court
And when he
appearance
finished
is
discussing
scheduled
what
for
he planned
November
on
9th,
doing,
2023
I
at
said,
9
"Good.
a.m. at the Sangamon County Courthouse.
fucking, excuse me, sorry, a-hole. Congratulations, you
State's
just
Attorney
made your
Dan
first
Wright,
step or act to take as Attorney General
Honorable
would be committing a
Judge
felony
Dan
and
Wright,
violating Rule
thank you for
6C.
supporting law
You're
enforcement
clearly the right
officers and
candidate
the
for this job.
prosecutor, and we know you'll keep these
So who's Jeff
brave
Clark?
men and women in mind
An
as you make
environmental
wise
lawyer
decisions on
with
the
no
bench.
experience relevant to
I'd like to
leading
introduce Cody's
the
fiance,
entire Department of
Maddie
Justice.
Kinzel, and his
What was his
parents,
only
Chris and Jimmy
qualification?
Green. Maddie's mom,
That he would
to my
do
left here,
whatever
Mrs.
the
Kinzel, is
president
also here
wanted
with
him to
us,
do,
providing our
including
sign language
overthrowing a
interpretation.
free and a fair democratic election. President Trump's campaign to bend the Justice Department to his political will culminated in a showdown on January 3rd.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Today, we
Cody's
will take
mom.
you inside that
I wanna thank
early
everybody
evening
for coming
Oval
here
Office
today
meeting,
and for
where
all the
top
support
Justice
that
Department
you've been
officials
given.
met with the president. At stake,
You know the
the
saying,
leadership
God
and
is good?
integrity of the Department
No,
of
he
Justice.
is great.
The meeting took
I
about
received a phone
another
call
2.5
that
hours
no
from the
mom
time I
ever
entered.
wants to receive.
It was entirely
From the
focused
time I got
on
to the
whether there
hospital,
should be a DOJ leadership change.
Everyone, the staff,
I was sitting directly in
and
front of the
all the
president.
police officers and
Jeff
all the
Rosen
different
was to my
agencies
right, Jeff
were
Clark was
just
to my left.
absolutely amazing
He
to
looked
me.
at me and he underscored, well, the one thing we know is you're not going to do anything. You
Cody
don't.
has wanted to be a police officer since he was in junior high. And freshman, sophomore in high school, he decided that he wanted to be a state policeman. So he built his resume to get there. And right before he got into the academy, he got accepted, we had a conversation. And I asked him if he still wanted to go through with this, being that laws are changing and how the world is today. And he looked at me and he said, "Mom, I still feel like I can make a difference. And buddy, you are going to make a difference." Again, I just want to thank everybody for all the support. I cannot thank the police officers, the hospital, the people who came to his aid that evening, to the community. Oh my gosh, our community has been awesome, and so giving. So again, just thank everyone. And Cody is a super trooper. He is making great strides. Every day he is making improvement, and he cannot wait to come back to work so he can protect all of you. Thank you.
Hello. It was tough. As a parent, this is your worst nightmare. I have to say, the love, camaraderie, and family that we've been brought into at the ISP is off the chart. Just a great bunch of guys, gals. Can't thank everybody enough for all the thoughts and prayers. We just want our boy to get better. He loves being a trooper, and he'll never quit being a trooper. He has one speed. Let's go. We can't slow him down. I've tried. But, thanks to everybody.
Hi. I just want to start off by saying a real quick thank you to everyone who's reached out thinking and praying for Cody and our families during this time. Having such a large and amazing support system has made this situation somewhat easier to manage. As for my fiance Cody, who we're all here for, by the grace of God, he is alive and he's doing well. When I was escorted into that trauma room with Illinois State Troopers and our local law enforcement, and I saw the state that Cody was in, I did not expect his recovery process to be as amazing as it's been. That first night was a mix of possible surgeries for the extensive list of injuries that he's sustained, and many conversations of the long-term effects on Cody. As I stand here today with his family and everyone who's standing behind me, I am more than thankful to talk about his miraculous recovery. Cody is doing so incredibly well. There's no longer conversations of surgeries that are necessary, and he's up and talking throughout the day, which we all love to hear him. We just all love to hear him talk. He still has a long road ahead of him, but God was with him that night and protected him from the absolute worst. I have always told Cody that I am proud of the man and the Illinois State Trooper that he is. I don't think I've ever been more proud of him than I am right now. Please thank your first responders and all of law enforcement for what they do to keep all of us safe. Thank you again.
Thank you, Maddie, Chris, Jimmy. Your support of Cody and all the families who support brave officers who are willing to risk their lives for you, for me, for the public, and make it possible for them to do their jobs. It's written in Matthew that blessed are the peacekeepers, for they shall be called the children of God. And as everyone has said here, no doubt God was watching over Cody that night. Our Division of Criminal Investigation and Internal Investigation special agents continue to work the case, so there are some questions yet to be answered, but we will share information with you as we can and as soon as we can. And we're happy to answer questions with within those limitations, but it will take a few questions before we get everybody back inside where they can warm up. That's information that is protected by Illinois state law, but there will be an appropriate time and a place where that will be publicly made available. We'll try to get you documents that get you an answer to that question as soon as they're within the public domain. That's just state law about what we can and can't answer. So it's already a matter of public information that CPD has confirmed, and it's in other open sources that the individual that has been charged by State's Attorney Wright is also a person of interest in a homicide case in Chicago. That is, I can confirm that is the case, and at an appropriate time and place within either a preliminary hearing or trial, or in the event that they take some action in that venue, that information can be further verified. But I would refer the specifics of that particular case and that investigation to our partners at CPD.
Director Kelly. I guess why exactly were Illinois State Police out looking for
So our people are out all day, every day, 24/7, 365, and they use whatever information they have available to them through a variety of sources, whether it's through license plate readers, whether it's through our lead system, whether it's through direct communication with our partners and other law enforcement agencies to be able to identify potential threats to public safety that can run the gamut from anything from drug trafficking all the way up to someone who may be a person of interest in a homicide. And that type of information is shared through a variety of intelligence sharing mechanisms that we have. And in this particular case, I'm sure the specifics of those facts will come out within the process that's in the courtroom.
You described it as a traffic stop earlier. Just to be clear,
Yeah.
was the stop made because of information regarding him being a suspect in
Well,
county, or was it because he was speeding or violating someone?
Well, again, the process that leads up to that, the issues of probable cause, the nature of the stop, those are things that will all come out during the court process. Now that the case has been charged, we are so, as a result of the standard that we have in terms of being very transparent, anytime there's an incident involving an officer and there's an officer-involved shooting, in which case our officer, Cody, did defend himself and fire back. That has to be reviewed. That has to be an ultimate determination made by the appropriate state's attorney. But we also have an obligation when those events occur to share what information with the public that we can in a timely manner. Today, we will be releasing video, dash cam video of this incident. You may have it already in your email, the link to it, but at the conclusion of this press conference, we will be providing that video. Some of the questions you're raising in terms of the context of these events that I described here, to the extent that I can describe them in a public setting, you'll have more context within those videos.
Can you describe what that video shows, just in your words?
What I just said here, is exactly what it shows.
Is Santana still in the hospital, or can you give any information as to why he needed to be hospitalized following this?
Well, he was apprehended and he was injured during the course of the apprehension, and that was in my comments here that I laid out. So he is in custody and receiving appropriate medical treatment.
But he's still at an area hospital?
Obviously, I'm not going to share, his private health care information.
I've got two questions.
Yeah.
One's off topic if possible, but on topic. And this could be for the sheriff or strictly police officer. Talk about, I guess, that 4 hours or so from, 11 o'clock till about right before 2. The community was told to shelter in place. How was that communicated? Was there any problem with the community getting in the way, or?
No, to the contrary. The team that we have here and the team that we have in this area of the state works together very well. There's a process in place. Those processes were followed. Whenever there's an incident like this, there's an incident command system. Our people know how to work together. This is just an example of that kind of cooperation that we see on a regular basis. And to the contrary, the public was not in the way. The public helped. And it is absolutely critical for any type of emergency or any type of crime that's occurring. When we have the public's help, there can be a better outcome. And we certainly saw that here with the two Good Samaritans, as well as others that may be able to help provide us helpful information. The public's assistance was critical in this particular incident.
And then off topic, you've got a couple of hearings coming up for the public about the Illinois Communities Act. Registration shows just over 2,000 or so of registered firearms. Can you talk about the rate of that so far? Are you disappointed? Do you need to get more word out about that? And what do you expect to hear from the hearings?
So the hearings are established by law and by request of JCAR when we do the administrative rulemaking process to provide input. We'll see who shows up, and we'll see what the public feedback they wish to provide about that administrative rule process. In terms of how that the pickup process has worked and the registration, it's been slow but steady, and I have no predictions one way or the other about the pace of that. And we'll just see how the process continues to work, and we'll share the data as we continue on a daily basis to do so. One more. Yes, yeah.
Is there any connection between Santana and a man by the name of Darnell Rice? We've been looking into his background, and it seems like that person might have gone by that name previously.
Well, I'll try to get you some records that may be responsive to that question one way or the other. Okay. Yes, one more.
With Mr. Santana with Chicago charging Cook County, how's he going to work with going to each court? Is he going to be single in county jurisdiction, and then he's going to go up and face trial in Chicago?
Well, in the event, and if in fact he is charged in another jurisdiction, I know as a matter of course, there are cases that we investigate and we get charges from the state's attorney's offices in the 102 different counties that we have in this state, and they're able to work it out amongst themselves and amongst the jurisdictions about which particular charges may take precedent and the order in which those cases may be tried or ultimately adjudicated, and where individuals who are held in custody pending those trials, they work that out amongst themselves on a regular basis. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.